name's Stacy. This is how Anansi introduced stories to the world. It's an African trickster myth. So one evening, Anansi, the notorious trickster, was sitting in his web in a tree, watching all the people on the ground below him. And he noticed that everybody was just kind of sitting around, not talking, just generally look really bored. So he thought, what can I do to help these people? I know, stories. These people need stories. But he also knew that all the stories in the world belong to Naomi, the sky god. So he thought, I'm going to go ask Naomi if I can have the stories. So he spun a web all the way up to the heavens and got up there and said, Naomi, I think people need stories. They really need something to entertain themselves. Naomi didn't really want to give away the stories, so he forwarded a plan. He said, okay, you can have the stories if you bring me these 3 things. I need Onini, the great python, a sebo, the majestic leopard, and Moboro, the stinging hornets. I think you can do this. Let's see. So excitedly, Anansi ran back down his web and went home screaming, Aso, Aso, I need to catch Onini, the great python. I don't know what to do. Well, I think if you get a branch and a vine, okay, I know, enough. So Anansi runs off into the woods and gets a long branch and a length of vine. And he goes and finds Onini, the silvery python, sleeping on a rock right after a giant mill. Perfect time to go up to him. So as he's walking up, he's muttering to himself, no, this stick is much bigger, it's much longer. Onini's a great python. And Onini over here says, Anansi, what are you talking about? Oh, Onini, there you are. Also, my wife. She says that this stick is much bigger than you. And I told her, no. Onini is huge. The stick is bigger than him. Do you think you could lay against it and I can measure you? And maybe prove her wrong. Sure, I can do that, said Onini. So he leans up against the stick, and Anansi goes, this is no good. You're moving too much. I'm going to have to tie you to it a little bit to make sure that you stay still. Is that okay? Onini said, sure, I can do that. So Anansi goes and he ties his tail, and he ties him around the middle, and he ties his head. As soon as he's all tied up, he slings him over his back and runs up the web. Gives him to Naomi and says, here you go. Here's the first one. A little bit impressed, Naomi says, congratulations. Okay, that's one, and I need the other 2. So Anansi rushes back down his web and goes home, also, I need to catch Osebo, the mighty leopard. What do I do? It's like, well, if you dig a pit, okay, enough, I know. So he runs into the woods, and he gets a shovel and takes it with him. He goes to the path that he knows Osebo walks upon, and he digs a really, really deep hole, covers it with leaves and branches, and goes and hides into the bushes. Osebo comes bounding down the path and falls straight into a hole. And he starts yelling, help, is anybody out there? I'm falling into a hole. And Anansi rushes over and says, Osebo, what are you doing down there? He says, I've fallen into this hole and I can't get out. Can you help me? Sure, I know what to do, said Anansi. He's like, stick your paws up and I'll tie this vine around him and pull you out. He said, okay, I can do that. So he sticks his paws up on the edge. And Anansi ties his paws around the front, throws it over a branch, and pulls him out. As soon as he's in the air, he wraps him tightly around his back paws and then around his mouth. Sharp teeth there. So he slings the sable around his back and scurries up the web and says, here, I got a sable for you. Naomi, now a little bit concerned, says, okay, that's 2, just one more. So Anansi scurries back down the web and runs home to Aso. Says, Aso, I need to catch Moboro, the stinging hornets. What do I do? She said, well, if you get a gourd and some water. Okay, enough, I know. So he runs off into the woods and he finds a dried up gourd, cuts the top off of it, fills it up with water. So he goes into the nest, into the tree where Moboro's nest is. And he goes up to him and he sprinkles a little bit of the water on himself, and he sprinkles some onto the nest. Buzz, 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 all the hornets come out. It's like, quick, Moboro, the monsoons have started early. Come to this gourd, you'll be safe here. Buzz, 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 they all go into the gourd and quickly clamps the top back on shut. Climbs up the web and says, Naomi, here they are. Osebo, Moboro, I've got all of them now. Naomi had to admit he was impressed. Many people stronger and more powerful than Anansi had tried fell. So he said, Anansi, congratulations, you've done all 3 of the tasks. The stories are all yours. Excitedly, Anansi takes the box of stories and climbs down the web, takes his wife down into the village where all the people are. And everybody gathers around the box to open the stories. And Anansi very gently lifts the lid, And all the stories start flying out everywhere. There's too many of them. So Anansi catches a few, also catches a few, and every person in the village caught one or two, but there were too many. Most of them flew away. They flew all over the world. And that's how we all have stories today.